that. Our next speaker will be Daniel da Silva from Development Seed, and he will talk about his OpenAerialMap project.
Hello everyone, so I'm Daniel da Silva from Development Seed, and I bring you OpenAerialMap. So, who knows about the project? Okay, who has ever contributed any imagery to this project? Do we have anyone? Ooh, well. Okay, that's nice, at least there's someone. Okay, so for everyone else, I'm going to go over what kind of problems we try to solve with this project. Sorry. Why was it built, what kind of tools make up its ecosystem, and then what kind of improvements we made to the project over the last year or so. So, problems. We noticed that there was a lack of imagery for disaster response, and this kind of imagery needs to be as available and as ready to use as possible. Users need to be able to find it very quickly to actually be able to have some impact with it. So imagery from satellites and manned aerial vehicles and other types of UAVs become increasingly available after a disaster. You have organizations and even individuals that just capture a lot of imagery that then share with the world and make available. However, sometimes it's very difficult to understand if the imagery is available, where it's available, what kind of license it's released under, and if it's actually free to be used. And so that's what we try to do. We try to find a simple way for users to know this, for users to find, access, use, and share the imagery for a disaster response and humanitarian preparedness. A good example of where this is important was during the Ebola outbreak in Guinea. The background shows the progress of OSM edits, where some contributors over a short period of time mapped a big area, and that's important because then the proper authorities know how to get to different places, where facilities are, and what kind of facilities are actually available in the area to save lives, the lives of people. So this all works thanks to the Open Imagery Network. It's actually a network of open licensed image released under Creative Commons Attribution 4.0. All imagery is available under this license. This project, or this part of the OAM toolset, was born out of the collaboration between different agencies, or different companies, in this case Development Seed, HOT, Planet Labs, and Azavia. So a big shout out to them for helping out with this tool. It's a distributed system, not in the traditional IT sense, but meaning that it's made of nodes. So we have multiple nodes of imagery, and if one of these nodes fails, everyone else will still be up and available to be accessed, to be used. Anyone can contribute to this system, to this network of imagery, and essentially there are two main ways of doing it. First one is to host one of these nodes. It's a very easy thing to do. You follow the instructions on the README of the repo. You release the image under correct license, so attribution by Creative Commons attribution, and then you add your information to the node register, and that's it. You're done, you're up, and then people all over the world can start using the imagery you share. However, if you can't afford to host a node, if you don't want to, or if you don't have the technical skills, you can still help us out. You can still contribute with imagery through the uploader form, which is a tool that we built and that I'm going to go over in a bit forward, and upload your imagery to the HOT OAM node, which will still then make the imagery available to everyone else, crediting, of course, the correct people. Okay, I've been talking about OAM and OpenAerialMap, but what exactly is this? What are we trying to do here? So, briefly, it's a set of tools for finding and sharing imagery that's available on the OAM. This tool is the result of multiple iterations, many of them unsuccessful. But we have learned from the previous iterations, and this time we make sure that everyone had a saying in how we built this. We gathered a broader group of people to make sure that this time we actually got it right. It was a community effort, especially because if you need to read the fucking manual when you are coming to a disaster response or something like that, it doesn't work. That fails every single time. So what we tried to do was to make something simple, and that's why this time we succeeded. We actually were able to build something that is being used and it's successful, didn't fail like the last times. It's simple to use. There's no requirement for like high-tech knowledge or to read an extensive documentation to be able to use the tools that make up the OEM system. Which, let's go over some of them. The catalog, it's like the core, if you want. It indexes the imagery that's available on the network and then makes it available through an API, which can then be used to query the whole database. You can query by like the bounding box for a specific area, by different filters, like acquisition date, basically anything that's available. So at this point we had a way to have imagery, a way to store imagery, and a way to access it, a way to find it. But not every user can understand an API, can use an API. Not everyone can make sense of this, of JSON response. So we needed something simpler. The actual simple part of OEM is the browser. So the browser comes as a solution for this specific problem. It's a simple tool, or tries to be a simple tool for users to find, share, and use the imagery. Okay, let's see it in action. Fantastic, I just lost my browser. 1 second. Okay, so this is the actual OEM browser. It's based on a grid-based integration system. We built this like choropleth grid, where each cell is colored according to the number of footprints that intersect a specific region. Users can find whatever they're looking for, either by browsing the map or by searching for a specific location. And as soon as you zoom in, you get these different colors, and you can get an idea by the number that shows up of the amount of footprints that's available on each cell. Once you select a specific cell, and yeah, okay. You get a preview of the imagery that's available for that specific region, and then you can just pick whatever you want and preview it immediately on the map. In this case, this image, it's very low resolution. It's captured by Landsat 8 with a resolution of 48 meters per pixel, so you can't really do any tracing with this one, but let me find you something way better in the Philippines, which is an area I quite like for its imagery. Okay, let's give it some time to load. Okay, this is the next one. So this image takes up a very, very small area because it's so high resolution. This is the opposite end. It's captured with a UAV, and it's 4 centimeters per pixel. So this is perfect for, as soon as you can. Well, this is not helping me out. Come here. Okay. Okay, finally. So this image is very high resolution, and with this one you can actually trace it, and you can use it, for example, directly on OSM ID just by clicking here, for example, and immediately it's loaded on OSM ID and allows you to trace. This area in particular, it's already been fully traced, but if you get imagery or new imagery for a new area, you can easily connect both apps and start getting down to actual business. So we made sure that the integration between both of them is pretty easy. And for example, we can also allow the preview of the thumbnail directly on the browser, which is like a new feature that we just released like 3 days ago maybe, and allows you to immediately see what kind of zoom level or what you can do with this specific image. Besides that, you can also download the imagery directly and use it in any other program of your choosing or that you actually prefer. Okay, let's try to go back. Oh, this is where the browser went. Fine. Okay. As I said, we made a bunch of improvements to all these tools. Some of them, or some of the improvements made over the last year were under the hood improvements to increase performance, to use better tech to do things, including my personal favorite, the removal of Flash from OEM. So since June 7th, it's Flash-free, which is nice. Another improvement was the feedback form. Now we can get, maybe, we can, what's going on? Okay. Okay. Now we can have users report problems with imagery. So if the thumbnail is misaligned or if it doesn't match the area it's being presented on, we can immediately know and we can ensure that the quality of the imagery that we have, it's as good and as high as possible. So another improvement we made was the addition of a homepage or a welcome page that introduces users to the project. So like a welcome message, some stats about the imagery, some like a list of all the tool set that make up this ecosystem, a call for contribution, obviously, and then links to more information and the other parts of the project. So now we get to the uploader. The uploader is the form I mentioned it at the beginning, where you can use it to upload your own imagery to the hot node in case you can't host your own or you don't want to. This also had some improvements over the last year, including, for example, the improvement of this imagery location widget. Before, we had this kind of text area box where users had to put the URL for their images. This led to problems because not everyone would respect the one URL per line. Some users would use comma-separated URLs. Some users would just use semicolons to separate URL or spaces, and that actually break the server and wouldn't upload the imagery in the correct way. And so we moved from a like unique field type of solution where each field is one URL, it's simple, and I mean it's intelligible. Users can understand it immediately. Also included integration with Dropbox, which is already available, and Google Drive is coming, so bear with me for that. And now let's try to do some uploads. Maybe it goes better in the browser. Okay, so basically to make any kind of upload, you need to have a token. This is mostly to ensure that we don't get a lot of spam imagery. Although it's very easy to get one, you can request a token either via email or a GitHub issue. Basically, you have to say who you are, what kind of imagery you have available, and then a token will be assigned to you that you can use. This is also to be able to link images or uploads to certain people, so we know if there's a problem, we know who to contact, because the data you put on the uploader, I mean, you can put whatever you want to. In this case, let's try some dummy upload. I already pre-filled this, so we are having a data set that's captured by a kite, and I'm actually going to use Dropbox to select my image. As soon as I click, I get a list of all my files. I'm going to go with this like test footprint. That's it. And now, as soon as I upload, it's done. Now I'm going to go to the backstage. You can see that the server received it. It's actually downloading the data from my Dropbox, and as soon as it downloads, it will be processed, a thumbnail will be created, and then it will be sent to an S3 bucket, which is the hot bucket, or the hot node, to be able to then be used. And okay, it's uploading right now, so it's working. It won't be immediately available on the browser because the catalog needs to index them, and that will take some time because it only runs at specific intervals. But if we see the image on the bucket, on the S3 bucket, means that it will be indexed sooner or later. So let's try to do that. And there we go. My footprint test small, it's officially in S3, officially in a bucket. It will be indexed by the catalog and shown on the browser as soon as it runs. It worked. Exactly. Okay, another piece of this ecosystem is a documentation, which is very important for every project so that people know what it is, how to use it, and how it works. Although the browser per se, it's pretty simple, and it's what we are aiming for. So all the servers and the backend stuff, it's a bit more complicated. So we still need documentation for users to know how to make it run, how to develop for it, how to help us, because that's something we also need, and how to make it run locally if that's what they want, or if they want to run their own copy. So documentation, it's there exactly for that. It's still being developed, so it's still being written. So if any of you knows about the project and wants to help, please write documentation. It's always nice. If you dig long enough, you'll find some pieces that say coming soon. So help us if you can. Last piece of this toolkit is the design system. This is something new we added also pretty recently. As you saw, there are a bunch of tools in this system. There's the uploader, there's the browser, there's some admin pages as well, for example, to manage the tokens. And all these tools use the same styles and the same components because we want to ensure some behavior and visual consistency across every single tool of the system. That's why it's a system and it's a group of little apps that make up a project. So the design system does exactly that. It's like an installable module that comes with bundled styles and bundled components, which you just use whenever you need to create a new app for the system. And out of the box, you have the visual and behavioral consistency that we want across all the tools. It's all documented. It's up to be used under the repo. And if you need more information about design systems in general, why they're important, why we actually develop something like this, please check out that URL, 10cc/design system, links to a blog post we wrote about why they're important and why should be used and when should be used. Okay, what about the future of OEM? What is in store for the project? So first thing we're going to do is simplify the contribution process. We already started doing this, especially with the improvements in the uploader, like replacing the imagery widget. And that it's specifically to lower the barrier to share and publish. Another improvement that we have planned, it's something related with the tokens, simplify the process of getting a token and of using one. And then get more organizations to have nodes to share imagery with us. Also, there are new tools coming in. One of them is Spected, which is applying OEM tools to the Pacific Islands. Nate Smith from HOT is leading this out, is over there. So go talk with him if you want more information about this project. There's Possum, which is a package OSM running out of Raspberry Pi that can be used offline. In this case, OEM would be part of the tool chain by helping preparing the imagery to be used. This is being led out by the American Red Cross, so speak with them for more information. And please get involved in the project, help us out. Everything is available in open source under the HotOSM organization on GitHub. If you're a programmer, help us with code. Otherwise, review issues, suggest features, review the tools and give opinions. It's always nice and always welcome. So thank you very much. Any questions, let me know.
Thank you for the talk. First, a small observation. Except if I'm totally mistaken, this was actually contract work paid by HOT, and development seed has not turned into a charity suddenly.
No, it didn't. It's the project was the OpenAerialMap project was paid work from HOT exactly, but we did discuss the project as a community, and what the project would entail was like a communal discussion. But the project, yes, was paid work.
Okay, now to my real question. It's not clear to me how open it really is, because you seem to focus very much on disaster mapping and so on, but 99% of OSM is not about disaster mapping. And the question is, can other imagery sources, people that have run drones somewhere in Germany where there's very unlikely to ever be any disaster mapping or so on, can they include their imagery as well? And the second part is more from my hat as an editor developer. What about an API so that we can actually retrieve the available imagery for a certain location? Because right now, most of us rely on JOSM has its wiki page with the imagery list, and ID and Vespucci use the imagery index. Obviously, given the database behind that, you don't want to move this into static files. So the question would be, would you provide or think of providing an API so that we could retrieve the available imagery for a specific bounding box?
Okay, good question. So answering your first one, yes, any kind of imagery can be uploaded to OpenAerialMap using the uploader or hosting your own node with every image you have. Doesn't need to be for disaster preparedness. Actually, the image I showed from the Philippines, from the Philippines, it's normal imagery. It's not after a disaster or anything. Answering your second question, yes, we do have the catalog API. It's publicly available. This one. So this is actual response from api.openaerialmap.org. You can use this one to query for images, or you can query by bounding boxes. It's what powers the OEM browser, and it's totally open and available. And then you get the links for all the imageries to use.
So I was wondering on the upload, are there tools to help you geocode your images so that they become useful for this mapping purposes afterwards?
At this moment, the images need to be prepared already. They need to be uploaded in GeoTIFF format with all the geospatial headers, and everything needs to be ready. The only thing that the OEM does is read from those headers and then make the image available. So maybe in the future, but at the moment, no, you have to have the image prepared.
Great talk, thanks very much. My question is more to do with the imagery and collecting the imagery. Are you actively encouraging people to provide imagery, and who are the main suppliers of that? So there'll be a number of companies, utility companies, and so on, who will be flying networks and taking a lot of imagery. Have you approached them about this and using it as a source?
Yeah, there have been attempts to talk with companies for imagery. We have imagery from Planet Labs, from Astro Digital, and from other smaller companies, especially the ones, for example, in the Philippines as well. But yeah, we do have a call for action to help us with imagery. I just did here. That's basically it. But yeah, we are looking for them.
Thank you. I did really like the concept that user can add imagery to OpenStreetMap, so he can have different details to map. But I don't know, because you talk about making the application easy to use for every type of user. I think that's the big idea of the conception. But I don't think every user have the capability to get the data and to share those kinds of satellite or aerial data in your application, because they need to be in the domain to know what is the data, what is satellite data, aerial data, to be capable of share that data. I don't know if you understand, because I have a little bad English.
I think I am. So basically the main focus of the OEM is the browser for users to find, share, and use the imagery. And by share, I mean finding the imagery that's available in the browser and share it with other people, not necessarily share imagery of their own with the system. That part, yes, it's for more specialized users. You need to be able to capture the imagery. You need to be able to process it in the correct format, add the correct information to its headers, and then upload it to our system. That's not for everyone for now, but the browser, which is to find the imagery, that's available for, or easy to use for anyone. And that was our main goal with it.
Okay. Did you manage to take in account that if someone buy a product, aerial product or image product, and share it from your application, there will be legal problems, I think. Because if he buy image satellite, he don't be probably able to share it with everyone. But if he does it, did you manage to solve those kind of problems?
Okay, that's a very good question. I don't think we've had that problem yet. If a user buys an image, depends on the license he buys the image under. Maybe he buys the image with a license to do whatever he wants, and then he can, in fact, upload it and share it again under the license we need, which is Creative Commons attribution. If they don't do it, I mean, it didn't happen before, so we would need to find a way to solve it. Probably the image would be removed from the system, of course, because we don't want any copyright infringement, and then the user would be notified.
Any more questions? Okay, then I would like to close the session. Thank you for your attention. Let's thank our speaker again.
Thank you.